Hi, Andy XL back with another NFXL podcast and another of my state of the franchise addresses as we look at each of the 32 franchises coming out of the 2025 season and what they need to do this off season to have a better run at things in 2026 or to repeat success of 2026. So in this one, I'm looking at the team with the seventh overall pick, so the team seventh worst team on paper from last year, the Washington Commanders. Now, the Commanders would have looked at the 2025 season as a real chance to build on the huge promise of the previous season and not only make the postseason, but make a deep run once they got there. But injuries blighted their season, losing quarterback Jaden Daniels after 7 games being the most notable one, whilst leading wide receiver Terry McLaurin missed 7 games. Running back Austin Eckler played in just 2 games. Veteran cornerback Marshawn Lattimore and his rookie counterpart Trey Amos were both lost mid-season. Safety Will Harris and edge rusher Dorrance Armstrong also missed half of the season. Now, the Commanders were not the only team snake bitten by injuries in 2025, but losing Daniels was the one they found too difficult to overcome. It would appear then that if we can get these guys back, and Daniels in particular for 2026, they could once again be a significant threat, not only in the NFC East, but maybe in the postseason too. But is that true? And what issues might they need to address this off-season? So let's have a look at their cap space wise, and I'll just do a quick update to make sure I've got the latest update from overthecap.com. Right, Washington Commanders have 73.6 million to work with, so they certainly have plenty of space. Um, Draft pick wise, they have, like I say, pick 7. They don't have a second round because they've given that up to Washington, to Houston. So they don't have a second round pick. They do have pick 71. What else do they have? In nothing else in round 2. In round 3, they've also given that pick up to Houston, so they have 1 and 3 basically to work with. Um, yeah, no compensatory late in. So 1, 3, and an early round 5. So the cap space is where they're going to have to do most of their work here. We 1 or 2 notable um, draft picks, hopefully for them too. So quarterbacks. This is simple. Jaden Daniels will be back, and as long as he stays healthy, the Commanders are more than good at starting quarterback. Marcus Mariota was his backup in 25, but he's a free agent now. If he gets a chance to start somewhere else, he will not be back. But if he doesn't, the Commanders may well re-sign him, and that's probably the most likely outcome. At running back, Austin Eckler is a 31-year-old running back with plenty of miles on the clock, and as a free agent coming off an injury, it would seem likely he is not back for Washington in 2025. Ja'Cory Bill Krosky Merritt and Chris Rodriguez, along with Jeremy Nichols, shared the running back duties after Eckler went down, amassing 1,820 scrimmage yards and 15 touchdowns between them, as the Commanders' run offense ranked 6th in the league. Rodriguez is a restricted free agent, and Nichols is an unrestricted free agent, though. Given they have the cap space to do so, I suspect both these guys might be back for 2026 to mean the Commanders can achieve the same level of performance from the running back position next term. At wide receiver, losing McLaurin for nearly half the season was another major blow for the Commanders, leaving them without a true wide receiver 1. Deebo Samuel is a wide receiver 2 these days, whilst rookie Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, and Chris Moore also chipped in with support. But the injuries to McLaurin and quarterback Jaden Daniels saw them ranked 25th for pass offense in 2025, compared to 13th the previous season. If they can get back to that 2024 ranking in this area, that will go a long way to getting them back to the postseason next term. Samuel and Moore are free agents this off-season, though. The Commanders have one of the oldest rosters in the league, and they need to get younger at some point. So they have to make a call regarding bringing Samuel back or replacing him via a draft pick and using the money saved elsewhere. At some point in the next couple of years, they're going to need to pay Jaden Daniels, so making room for that may not be a bad idea. At tight end, and here is another Samuels-like call to make. Zach Ertz is another free agent. He is now 35. Re-signing him may not come at much cost, but they do need to move on from him at some point. With free agents like Kyle Pitts, David Njoku, and Chiga Conquo out there this off-season, the Commanders could well decide to take one of them and let Ertz go. Alternatively, they could re-sign Ertz and draft a long-term successor. Offensive line, The success of the running game with a rookie and two relatively unheralded back indicates the Commanders have a more than decent O-line in place. They also allowed only 36 sacks to their quarterback this season, which backs that theory up. All five starters are under contract for 2026. Laramie Tunsil was PFF's sixth-ranked tackle. Rookie Josh Connolly did not have the best of seasons opposite Tunsil, though. Right guard Sam Cosme was PFF 10th-ranked guard, and Tyler Biodash was their 11th-ranked centre, whilst left guard Chris Paul ranked highly as a pass protector, but struggled in the run game. Assuming they see Connolly improving in his sophomore year, I should say, finding a guard who is better than Paul on early downs in support of the run might be all they need to look for here. A defensive tackle, as you may get used to by now, one of the first things I look at to assess the defensive tackles are doing for a team is how they rank for run defense. In the Commanders' case, they ranked 25th against the run in 2025, so there may be cause for concern here. Daron Payne and Javon Kinlaw were the starters last season. Payne is a high-priced free agent this offseason, whilst Kinlaw ranked 112th of 134 defensive tackles with PFF. Tough call, Payne, but given Kinlaw's low ranking, they will probably bring him back and look to add a defensive tackle via free agency or the draft to possibly supplant Kinlaw. On the edge, the Commanders were not good against the pass last season, ranking 26th in the league. Injuries once again contributed to that, notably the aforementioned injury to Dorrance Armstrong and another one for Dietrich Wise. 36-year-old Von Miller led the team in sacks with 9, and nobody else had more than 5.5. If they get Armstrong back, Wise could be a cheap free agent to re-sign, but this is another aging part of the Commanders roster, so going after one of a deep and talented edge class in the upcoming draft would be a good idea too, albeit they have limited draft picks. Inside linebacker, superb veteran Bobby Wagner had another great season in 2025, but Frankie Louvu and Jordan McGee were nowhere near his levels. This may be an area the Commanders look to upgrade at prior to next season. Wagner is also a free agent. Can they persuade him to come back for another year? They really need to. And I would certainly look to add an inside linebacker to compete with Louvu and McGee and be the long-term successor to Wagner. If Wagner is not back, they need to go to free agency as well as the draft, but free agency might be their best route at inside linebacker. Safety could be another issue for the Commanders to address. None of Will Harris, Quan Martin, or Jeremy Reeves had good season. Harris was injured, so that didn't help either. All three are also about to enter the last year of their current contracts, making this another position the Commanders might look to draft into. They need to get some draft picks from somewhere, though. Cornerbacks. The injuries to Lattimore and Amos hurt them again here. Mike Samuels still Noah Igbenibonheen and Jonathan Jones. The last two are now free agents that struggled too. Lattimore has not played a full season for a while now, with none of the current crop of quarterbacks playing well, with the possible exception of Samuels still. Replacing the two free agents by a free agency and or a draft has to be on the Commanders' to-do list this off-season. Special teams. 35-year-old punter Trey West is a free agent, and kicker Jake Moody is a restricted free agent too. Pro Bowler Way will likely be back for a 14th season as a Commander. Moody took over the kicking duties for the last 6 games of the season, making 20 or 22 kicks, so he too will likely be back next season. So to sum up what the Commanders need to do and how the NFC East looks, the NFC East may be one of the most keenly contested divisions in the league next season, with all 4 teams looking to improve. Well, certainly the 3 that didn't win it last year, and the Eagles possibly plateauing or even regressing. And the Commanders could well make a bid for a divisional title and possibly more. But for that to happen, there's a fairly long list of things they need to do. They need to keep Jaden Daniels healthy, re-sign or replace Deebo Samuel, upgrade at defensive tackle. Also, edge rusher needs help. They need 2 cornerbacks to replace or upgrade on departing free agents. Add at least 1 inside linebacker and a safety. Add a tight end via free agency or bring Zach Ertz back. Bring back Rodriguez and McNichols at running back. Add a right guard for run blocking purposes. So they've got a lot of cap space, but whilst it's there, use it wisely. This is quite a long list, and a lot is it of it is in order to improve the defense, whilst they need to get younger across the whole of their roster. Failure to address most of all of these issues could cost them really highly in a highly competitive division this season. Make the right moves and use that cap space wisely, and they could be divisional winners at least next season, and possibly even more than that. So it's a really big off season, and that cap, whilst you've got that cap space, you have to nail it, especially when you don't have a lot of draft picks at your disposal early in the draft. So that's how it looks for the Commanders. Next up on this list of as we go through, who was the eighth worst team last season? The New Orleans Saints. They'll be next on my radar. See you soon.